Right, Halloween 2 has finally hit the shelves on DVD here in the UK, and I thought I'd take a look at it. Now, I've been warned by every single person who ever saw this at the cinema that it is a god-awful movie and should be avoided at all costs. But it can't be that bad, can it? Well, after watching the movie, I think I know what everyone's problem with it was, and that's the fact that Rob Zombie goes back to his roots as a director. Let me explain with this brief overview of his career. Rob Zombie's feature film debut was House of a Thousand Corpses, which was mostly an artsy-fartsy mess disguising itself as a horror film. It was saved by the simple fact that it wasn't actually that bad, and Sid Haight's Captain Spaulding was pure genius, and it was worth watching just for him. His second feature was The Devil's Rejects, one of my personal favourite films and a sequel to House of a Thousand Corpses. It basically threw out all the artsy-fartsy, incoherent mess of the first film and gave us a much more coherent, realistic and dark, gritty kind of movie, and also features one of the most awesome endings ever put on film. And as we all know, his third feature was the Halloween remake, which kept with the gritty dark tone that he set out with The Devil's Rejects. So for Halloween 2, can you guess what I'm gonna say? Halloween 2 follows the gritty tone of Rob Zombie's later movies, but also jumps back to all the symbolism and artsiness of his first feature film, House of a Thousand Corpses. And I think that's where most people's initial problems with this movie lies. It's in the fact that it's not a conventional sort of slasher film and goes into something a little more artsy that most slasher fans just don't want in a slasher film. But I digress. Let me give you my opinion of the film and what I thought about everything in it. Let me start with the positive. Okay, firstly, I'd like to say I liked the idea behind the use of the symbolism and the artsy side of the film. It works in the way that it's basically Michael Myers is having visions of his mother and she's telling him what to do, and it's also a younger version of himself which talks to his mother, so then Michael talks without actually talking. And it gave a little insight to the character's mind and what his whole game plan is all about, and I quite liked the way that worked. Secondly, some of the visuals in this film were quite striking, and if it was a piece of photography, like a photography book, you could stick them in a book and just have some wonderful photography taken out of it. And thirdly, this is one that has divided many people, but I actually preferred this, was the treatment of Dr. Loomis, in that in this film he has basically sold out completely. He has gone off and written books about the Halloween incident, about Michael Myers and all that jazz, and has made a complete fortune of it and become an arrogant asshole out of it, which is like completely different to how it was in the original franchise. And I thought it was a nice original idea. And now for the things I didn't like. So remember how I said there were good visuals throughout this movie that make some fine photography artwork? Well, for every good visual, there was always a bad visual to go along with it. And this came down mostly to lighting and editing, it seems. In that a lot of scenes were just really dark and couldn't see what was going on. I mean, you get like a partial silhouette or something, but mostly blackness with just sound. And then the other thing was, during a lot of the murders, where it'd be extreme close-ups of something that was very dark and quick cut together, and again, couldn't see what was going on. The next problem has to do with this story element, which is basically Michael and Laurie are connected to each other sort of spiritually or psychologically, similar to how Jamie and Michael were in the original series. I like the idea of that. I liked it in the original. I like how they played with it mostly here. My only problem with it is it wasn't set up enough. They hint at it in 2 or 3 scenes, and then the ending really relies on you picking up on this and going off into this deep end of really investing into it, and I didn't feel it was built up enough, and they really should have pushed those supernatural elements more throughout the film instead of just praying that you'll go for it at the end of it. And my final complaint is my biggest complaint, and is the same reason I cannot stand Jason Goes to Hell: The Final Friday, and that is Michael grunts throughout the film in some of the murders. It's not even consistent throughout the film. Sometimes he kills them silently, sometimes he kills them with humongous grunts, and it is really annoying. You built up a silent character, keep him silent. Well, to round off a very different Halloween movie, some good ideas just poorly executed this time round. Right, that's it for me. I hope this helps you decide whether you want to watch it or not. And please leave comments, ratings or anything like that down below. Thanks, take care.